From DS Media Studios in Tema, Ghana, this is Two Pesewas. Two Pesewas is a weekly podcast where we cover a range of topics, from buzzing media headlines to music to highlights from the week. Each episode is co-hosted by myself, Peaches, and Eddie.
Welcome to episode 11. We hope you're all well. We hope you had a lovely weekend. We did. We had an awesome weekend.
We went partying.
Exactly. Two Pesewas.Styling. All right. And with that, we're back with this week's episode.
Yep, let's get rolling.
Let's go.
Should I go?
Okay, you go.
Mm-hmm. So in the news this week, the registrar of the Birth and Death Registry was on City FM for two reasons. The main reason was he's apparently been sued by... Yes, there's an ongoing court case. The B&D, Birth and Death Registry, has been taken to court by a parent because apparently they're not allowing parents to register certain names.
Yes.
Okay. So the names that... So it's two things that are the issue. First of all, if you have, your name begins with na or ni or nana or mame or papa, which are very common, Ghanaian
names,
so-called appellations, they will not allow you to register those because they said those are titles and not actually names. Now, the second thing also, if you go there and you want to register your child's name as Kofi James Mensah, for example, they won't allow you to do it.
Oh, really?
But if you say James Kofi Mensah, they will.
Exactly. I didn't even know that bit.
Yeah. So they've been dragged all across the internet, and the registrar's name is John Agbeko, and the interview sounded so pathetic, to be very honest.
He couldn't defend himself.
He couldn't.
He really couldn't.
And then at one point he was like, well, if you want us to start naming ourselves anyhow, imagine what this country will be like in 20 years. I'm like, sir, all they're saying is mama, mame, and na, and whatever should be allowed, because those are parts of the name.
Names, exactly.
So Bernard Avle was like, okay, you say nana is basically a title, it's for a king, but he's like, if you came there and wanted to register your child's name as Prince or Duke,
they'd allow it.
They would allow it. So it's like, why is there this sort of colonial / Anglo bias when we're sitting in Ghana trying to name our own kids our traditional names? And he really, couldn't defend it in any way.
Yeah, I think he was trying to quote.
He said there was a law of 1965 that.
And then Asan Kuma, I think he called and said there's no such law or something.
Really?
I was like, oh, come on, you come on radio, you don't know what you're talking about. He really got a lot of slack for that.
He did, because he couldn't, and I mean, it just seems like that is the trend. They have this bias towards, Anglophone names, and I mean, the one where you can't even put, a Ghanaian name as your first name, is pretty ridiculous. Setting aside the ni and na, whatever. But Bernard was making the argument that we've gone to the point, just like with Prince or Queen or King. People are naming their kids King now. It's the new ghetto fabulous.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
Everybody is King. We have evolved to the point where Nana is not necessarily a title reserved only for royalty anymore. People just name their kids Papa something or Nana something. So we should also be, recognize that and not tell people that they can't. I mean, it's a bit extreme to tell somebody they can't name their child something.
Yeah, na or ni, which is I find it very upset.
I mean, I think in America there are very few. You can't name your child Hitler, things like that, or something that's racially offensive, or something that would be considered abusive to the child. Right. But if you want to call your child Goku or Gohan,
you can do that.
You really can. So I hope. So anyway, actually, the full stop on this, or about after a week of people complaining and uproar and outrage and incredulity and all that, the Minister for Local Government, who is called Hajia Alima Mahama, has now issued a directive in Parliament that people should be allowed to. Now, again, I guess, I don't know if the registry department falls under local government. I guess it does.
I don't know.
But then I feel like this is similar to that DVLA story. It's like people are doing
things
there's
no collaboration. There's
somebody's
nothing.
doing something somewhere, and then some minister come on the news.
Yeah, they're not communicating.
It's a bit worrying to be honest.
And for him to come on air and say all these things that are not true,
confidence, and then only for a week later somebody have to come and check you in public, like
it's not right. It's like you're not doing your job. Yeah, you don't know your job.
So it's a bit worrying. But anyway, that's some item in the news where apparently still going by colonial mindsets out here.
I listened to that interview actually. He was
actually quite annoying.
Yeah. He didn't know what he was saying. So that's that. Yeah. So thanks for that in the news. So my in the news is the Center of the World Tower. So Ghana, I suppose, Ghana wants to construct an iconic tower in Tema.
Huh?
Yes, please.
In Tema?
Oh, please wait. So this said apparently because the Greenwich Meridian passes directly through Tema, they want to sell Ghana as sort of center of the world.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know Tema, Tema is sort of a harbour town. It used to be called Torman because Tor is Calabash in the local language. So it was the town of Calabashes. And it's the biggest seaport in Ghana. Now, in the article was also mentioned that the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, I think the one in Community 1, also runs, the Greenwich Meridian runs through it, as well as the Tema Golf Club. I didn't know there was a Tema Golf Club.
There is, but I didn't know it was there.
Right. So, and I love the idea of, improving our tourism and all that. I'm not against it. But we need to think about the surrounding space. You say you want to create an iconic tower just like the Eiffel Tower.
Where is it going to be?
Well, somewhere in Tema. I'm thinking.
But wasn't there supposed to be a stone or some sort of marker where have you seen that thing before?
No, I haven't. Have you?
I know.
Does it exist? I don't know.
I think in class 5 they said it did somewhere in.
So and my thing is, tourists who potentially come to Tema will not just come to see the iconic tower.
Do you know, listen, this is Ghana. They claim that flyovers are tourist attractions.
Come on.
I'm sorry, I'm such a rude interrupter.
No, go ahead.
The other day they were talking about one of these stadiums. I can't remember which one that has fallen into disrepair.
Yes, Baba Yara.
And now they're using it for
funerals. Yes, I was going to talk about that actually, but I said no.
Yeah, somebody in the comments was like, they need to improve it so it can be used as it can be a tourist attraction. Ghanaians like to think everything is a tourist attraction. People don't want to come to your country to look at your crusty ass stadium. Even in peak condition, it will still be crusty comparatively.
Exactly, and if it doesn't have anything extraordinary, why would somebody just come and look at the stadium?
Or Kwame Nkrumah flyover, like 2-level tourist attraction. Seriously? So this thing, I don't know. I mean, it's a cute idea. Yeah. But that alone, like it's not enough. It's not going to.
I don't think so.
Make somebody sit on a plane, and buy a ticket, get a hotel room,
and then just come and then that's it. So anyway, so back to what I was saying. So they want to create an iconic tower. That's all well and good. The Presbyterian Church is there. The Tema Golf Club is there. But if you're doing these things, like you've already mentioned, if you're doing these things in isolation, there's no point. Who's going to come to Tema and say, I'm just going to come look at the iconic tower and go and leave? It's not going to happen. They probably want to...
one of 10 things you're going to do, maybe.
So they would probably want to see different things. They would probably want to see the Tema Community 1 market. If that's the thing, you're going to have to do something about that market. They're probably going to want to see the beaches. The beaches are dirty. You're going to have to do something. So in all that, you'd have to do iconic tower, not in isolation, but you've got to do it in conjunction with all the other things surrounding Tema, so people can come. I mean, I think Tema is relatively well developed and planned.
It is.
It's it. So it's. I think Tema can become sort of a model tourism town or whatever. So
I agree.
Yeah, when we're doing things, let's think about the big picture.
Tema Development Council.
I know.
What y'all saying?
Let's look at the bigger picture, not just iconic tower for iconic tower's sake. It shouldn't just be that. Alrighty.
Okay. So thanks for that.
All right.
So moving on to so my producer here, Our studio engineer has corrected me. It's Tema Development Corporation and not
corporation.
council.
Right. Yeah, corporation council.
Thank you. All right. So, songs of the week. So I have 2 songs this week, and I'm actually really excited about one of these because it is somebody I know.
Oh.
I know, yes. So I was on Facebook, and she was commenting on our last episode, and I was just like,
mentioned?
yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, yeah. So, and then I was like, wait a minute, but she is a musician, and she has some songs that I really, really liked. So, hi, Tish.
Hello.
Okay, so the song in question is called Rise in the Sun.
Okay.
And it's by FM Laeti. So it came out in 2001, and it's off an album called It Will All Come Around. Now, so I know Tish because I went to university with her. She is from Guadeloupe, and she's currently based in France.
Right.
And she's actually a really cool person. She did theater and costume design. So she used to design clothing and everything.
Nice.
And she could always sing even then. She wrote music and such. And so she moved to France at one point, and then met up with another singer-songwriter called Francois-Marie Drew, who is the FM in the FM Laeti. And they formed a group called FM Laeti. And I think the Rise in the Sun is the first single off that album. And it's one of those really uplifting, happy songs, like a jazzy influence, but it's poppy. And it's just really nice. So check that out if you can. Rise in the Sun by FM Laeti.
Okay.
The second song is called Come Correct. And it's by two rappers, female rappers, called Gifted Gab and Blimes Brixton. Now, I had actually never heard of either of these people, but I was on Twitter. I think the song is kind of low-key trending on Twitter.
Okay.
And I listened to it, and I'm like, yo. So, first of all, like, female hip-hop, okay? Like, I think there's a huge void in, like, rap and hip-hop for female artists in general. Like, Nicki Minaj does not count.
Ooh, she's coming for you.
No, she can. If she did feel like she should come, I'll give it to her nicely. She doesn't count. Whatever. She can rap, but she's decided to use it for fooling, so we don't acknowledge her. Cardi B is trash, so she doesn't count either. I mean, I'm happy for her, whatever, she's trash, she can't rap. So I really get excited when I see, like, people that are going
Gifted.
in. Now, so both these ladies, this is not about fashion, it's not about cuteness, it's just like bars, man. And it reminded me of like a 1995 kind of hip-hop. The production is like classic. It reminds me of like Ninth Wonder, like a Little Brother. If you don't know Little Brother, go check them out. They broke up, but still the music is there. But like J Dilla, like really dope.
Nice.
So anyway, Come Correct, go check it out. Gifted Gab and Blimes Brixton. So apparently Gifted Gab is from Seattle and Blimes Brixton is from San Francisco or something. And they've been each doing their thing, and they just decided to collaborate on that track. And it's like super dope. So check those out.
Dope. Nice. Okay, so my song of the week, I'm staying in Africa, and I'm taking it back a bit. So I've got 2 songs. The first one is Akatakyie Odwe. You know that song?
That one.
That one. So yeah, that's a little throwback for you, Akatakyie. The second one is a song that I think all Africans know. Wherever you are in the world, you know Premier Gao by Magic System.
Yes.
If you've been to any African party, anywhere in the world, you're sitting down, they're playing your, let's say, Ivorian, Cameroonian, Ghanaian. As soon as you hear the song, every African just gets up and starts dancing. So they are an Ivorian group. I think they formed in 1996. Premier Gao came out in 1999, and yeah, that's my song. Those are my songs of the week.
Cool. Now, have Magic System done anything since?
I was checking. I checked yesterday, and they had a song from 2017 called Yafoye or something. I listened to the song. It was okay. It wasn't like it's not as catchy as no. I checked them out, but then Premier Gao by Magic System and Akatakyie Odwe.
Nice.
So 2 ones. Yeah.
Okay. Right, now on to What the F. So this week, my What the F is nowhere near as exciting as last week's camel incident, but still, it's very what the effie. So, a week or two ago, there were these headlines floating around about how chocolate may go extinct in our lifetime.
Ooh.
Yes. Now, of course, my eyes widened, my, heart started pounding because, A, chocolate is life, and B, okay, chocolate is my best friend. Okay, so we can't have this. So apparently, due to climate change, basically it's getting warmer and also drier, the cacao plant will not be able to grow in those conditions. And apparently, the cocoa only grows in very specific, there's like basically a belt.
Yes.
And outside of that, latitude or whatever it is, the plant literally is longitude. Whatever. This is not geography class.
It's time for geography.
But won't be able to grow, and because of the climate change, those conditions are also already being altered irreparably. Yes. So the University of California in Berkeley has partnered with Mars Corporation, which makes Snickers, Mars obviously, and Twix, etc., to see if they can genetically modify the cacao plant to be able to withstand to withstand the rising temperatures. Now, of course, in addition to having a mini panic attack that I won't be able to eat chocolate, I immediately thought of Ghana because, for anyone that doesn't know, Ghana used to be the world's largest producer of cocoa. A position we lost to neighboring Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm thinking, first of all, we haven't even been able to manage our cocoa production very well here. The numbers have been plummeting.
Yes.
And apparently, I looked up some statistics. Our agriculture GDP contribution to GDP has been dropping for the last 7 years continuously. In 2009, it was 31%, and as of 2016, it's all the way down to 19%.
Whoa.
Yeah. So basically, we're unable to feed ourselves, and also our cocoa output is plummeting, right? Which is not a good thing.
No.
Secondly, we've never been able to do anything in terms of having end stage production where the cocoa is concerned. We're still literally exporting the beans.
No
like
value
that.
add.
No value added.
Or little.
Very little, right? Even like processed like powder, we do it here locally for things we're doing here, but we don't even export powder. Which would have obviously gained more money. We just export the raw bean like that. And, and beyond powder, we're talking the end state luxury, right? I feel like we should have artisanal chocolate bars. Like you go in and it's this fancy place somewhere and you buy chocolate a Godiva, something. And I know there are a few. There's is it called 1957?
Yes,
yes. But I don't know where they are, to be honest. Like I see it online, and I don't know where if they have a physical shop somewhere.
I think there are a couple of people who are doing stuff with chocolate.
But obviously, it's not enough because you don't know immediately. Oh, okay, I can go to the mall and go to the chocolate shop or whatever. True. I think that's we've dropped the ball seriously there. But the other, and then again, we have a problem with child labor, major issues already.
There's so much.
So now, what came to mind immediately was, if Mars Corporation does successfully manage to modify the cacao plant even, first of all, GMO food is something that is a huge question mark. I know they say it's safe, but they say everything is safe until 100 years.
Exactly, and we have
to start growing extra toes and fingers and stuff, and they're like, "Oops, who could have known?"
Yeah, couldn't have known.
The other thing, though, is it sort of reminded me immediately of Monsanto, so I'm sure everybody knows they're like the big evil now. They are the main producer of GMO seeds and whatever. And first of all, it's become a situation where they're modified like corn and wheat. It's hardier, it's more resistant to pests, that. So people are almost have no choice but to buy the seeds and whatever. But the problem is they also genetically modify their seeds to be non-regenerative, so that you can't cut a shoot off it
and then
plant it.
You have to
literally have to keep buying it from them.
I know what they're doing.
So I'm like, imagine now Mars Corporation put a patent on these new cacao plants. So basically, what would be the implication for cocoa producing countries? That means we have to buy our beans from Mars and then grow it. And how are we going to even have a bargaining position to sell that? We'll just be making it for them and they'll say, okay, we won't buy it unless it's this, or we won't sell it to you in the first place unless you sell it back to us at some bottom barrel rates. I think. But
what another question? Sorry, I had to interrupt you. Another question? If they modify it such that they can grow it in their countries, then what? Then it's over.
I hadn't even thought of that. If they're modifying, then they modify it to grow it in America, and they don't need us at all.
Then we're
so I'm like, okay, we have CSR, Center for Research or whatever. What are we or the cocoa board? I'm sure they should also know that the temperatures are rising and the cocoa plants are not flourishing. What have they been doing? We're going to sit here and wait for a corporation.
Exactly, that's what's going to happen. We're going to wait for somebody to do their research,
we'll be enslaved
and then
once again. Yes, and they're like, white people are evil.
Exactly.
I mean, sure, but like, what did you do? You know.
What did you do?
So anyway, that's an issue of concern. Something
it is concerning
to keep an eye on, certainly. And anyone that has more information, could you please holler at me, because this is pretty serious.
Isn't there something similar said about bananas as well? About bananas going extinct?
So already the banana plants that we know today are not the bananas that they used to. They were called scent something. Yeah. And because there was very little variation there, because they did the same thing. They took a certain type of banana because of the taste and the color and blah, blah, blah. And then one pest wiped out the whole thing. And they had to start again with these bananas, the Chiquita bananas. And now there's a concern that there's too little variety in this too. And it will only take one really bad disease to knock out all the world's bananas or something.
I can't live without bananas.
I know. So food security is a matter of. I think we should all start planting little things in our backyards.
We have bananas in our. We have so many things in my backyard: guava, mango, avocado, all sorts of random things. Yeah.
Pawpaw. We used to have more stuff, but anyway. So that's.
Oh my God.
That's what it is for me this week, and what the F.
So in today's What the F for me is sorry, I can't stop now. Sologamy. So sologamy is marriage by a person to themselves.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Why are people doing this?
Girl,
I don't understand
listen,
it.
I'm like 1 year away of having a ceremony where I marry myself. Okay, so
apparently this is a trend. I was reading around a bit and they said, well, it's sort of there was an episode of Sex and the City, and Carrie Bradshaw married as she was going to marry, or somebody was going to marry themselves, and that's when it started sort of trending. And I just find it very. I don't know. It's so
committed
weird
to me. Why?
No, but if you're committed to you, there's other things you can do. So the reasons that people are giving for marrying themselves is because they are happy being themselves. They make themselves happy without needing anyone. The gesture of solidarity. Okay, and that's
to yourself.
Oh, and that's all well and good. You can do these things by throwing a party. There's no need for you to marry yourself.
But what is a wedding except a fancy party, really?
True, but then why do you have to...
what if you've always wanted to wear a gown, and this is now that your body is right and tight, and it might not be in the next 5 years, and you want to be snatched?
I just think it's weird. For me, it's just a weird... It's a weird thing.
But I'm just like, whatever. Me, I'll come and eat your food if you invite me to your,
For me, it just seems as though you want to prove something to somebody. That
I'm so happy, I guess.
But if it's to yourself, then don't make a big fuss about it. Just go in your little room and go talk to yourself and get married to yourself. But for you to make a whole big deal out of it, I think it's just so ridiculous. I can't fathom why this would be a thing.
Listen, I think, well, at least sologamy or whatever is better than marrying your car or whatever. That's what
trees.
Exactly.
People are doing the weirdest thing. But hey, whatever floats your boat. I just think it's really weird.
I mean, you must have a certain... You you must have money if you're really going to have an entire ceremony.
Yeah, with the white dress.
And people will come too, because we
of course, free food. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah,
I'm coming to your party.
And they probably give favors.
Probably. And yeah, for me.
So would you write your name twice? Eddie and Eddie. January.
This is the weirdest, most random thing I have seen. So, what the F Sologamy? If you want to do it, you go do your bad.
I'm always visualizing the Ghana version. So I'm just like,
over the top.
They say you've been possessed by they say you have a spirit wife or spirit husband, and that's who you're really marrying, and it's fetish, so no one should go.
And then somebody made a comment about, patriarchy wins again. It's all about the pressure that women have been put under to get married, and it's
to
in
the point where now you have to marry yourself.
And I guess in a way the person has a point. Yes, there's this sort of pressure. You're a woman, you have to get married. If you don't get married, there's something wrong with you. You're not saying whatever. So I guess in a way, maybe for some of these people, you want me to get married? I don't have anyone to get married to. I'll marry myself. That's what we're going to do, So that's my
buy yourself a nice ring.
Exactly.
Like, I'm Mrs. Same name I was before.
So that's Sologamy for you. Right.
Okay. So for my two Pesewas segment, it is on, and I'm sort of cannibalizing myself because I did write about this on my blog quite a while ago.
Please check out her blog at what's it?
Musings at midnight, midnite.com.
Yes.
And check out Eddie's blog at...
I write at Medium, so go look for... what's my Medium name?
Oh.
E.Doche. So go check me out. Exactly.
Yes.
Go check me out.
Okay.
Check us out.
Yes. All right. So my two Pesewas is on the self-fulfilling African prophecy. All right. So I'm going to give a definition for self-fulfilling prophecy, and then I have a story.
Story.
So a self-fulfilling prophecy is a false definition of a situation, evoking new behavior, which makes the original false conception come true. Basically, what I mean by this today is that if you go looking for something specific, you'll find it. And that's not always a good thing. All right.
That is so true.
Story time.
Right.
When I was in university, there was this, we have what we call a winter term. So people are on break, but you can stay behind during the holidays and do a mini term.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, usually for the winter term, the Black Studies department, they have a course, and it's about, I think it's like a slavery, something like that. And they come to Ghana as part of the course during the winter term. So I think about 20 or so students came for the winter term and came back. And then one of the girls in there of the Sprite persuasion, of the Caucasian persuasion, took it upon herself to write an article in the school magazine about her trip to Ghana.
Right.
Well, first of all,
Ghana is dirty.
When she came, she realized that she was wealthy here and that she comes from some small town somewhere. But then there were all these poor kids on the street trying to touch her who didn't have anything. And she went to this hotel and it was dirty and the ACs didn't work. And And then finally, they went to some village.
Right.
And they put on a cultural performance or whatever it is. And the chief of the village came. And they wanted to shake the chief's hand, and they said no because you don't shake. And she was like, "Who is he? He probably can't even read or write." Or,
disrespecting the culture,
girl. Anyway, so me, Fiona Adjoa Isiedu, read that and immediately started writing a rebuttal in there. Which, so the editor of the paper called me and was like, okay, we're going to publish this, but we've had to edit it down because it was way too harsh. I was like, hey, who told you?
To edit myself.
Anyway, so when they published it, hey, I became a mini celebrity.
Oh, look at you.
Came and were giving me high fives. Yes, I'm glad you said something. And then the girl emailed me. She would like to have a meeting because it seems there was miscommunication. I was like, no, there wasn't, sweetie. Anyway, so this is another classic, and it's not just people like that. You know, you always have like this case where celebrities come, let's say Amber Rose, when Amber Rose came to Ghana, people were criticizing her because somehow she managed to find some village at the back of the arts center. Like, it's like they come with these preconceived notions. I'm looking for poverty. I'm looking for children who are starving but happy even though they have nothing. I'm looking for filth. I'm looking for... So she, so for example, Amber Rose, she'll get up she was staying at the Villa Monticello, okay? This is a 5-star boutique hotel.
Right.
You won't take pictures there. You won't take... I'm sure they picked you up in a Mercedes or whatever. You won't take pictures of that. You'll go out of your way to find these pictures of these starving kids and African sons. Those things that you've come already looking for. Do you know what I mean? And like not too long ago, Migos was in trouble. They went to Nigeria. And it was the same thing. They were interviewing them and they were like, yeah, there was so much poverty and people couldn't even speak English. And people were like, but y'all can't speak English either. Literally, you can't speak. Nobody knows what you're saying either. So, And this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm sure, again, it's Lagos. So I'm sure they picked you up. If you don't take time, they'll pick you up in a Maybach. So it's all like, yes, there's poverty, but then they never show so you know how Chimamanda says the danger of a single story is not that it's not true. It is that it is incomplete.
That's the thing.
So when you're coming and you take a picture of your hotel room in addition to so that it's not perpetuating these what I call poverty porn. And people, it's like it's gotten to a point where people come looking for, and they will come and look for certain things, and if they don't get those things, they're almost upset. Like I remember we had some co-workers from overseas or whatever it is, and it's me, and this is a flashback to, remember I talked about the Tresako, the astrophysicist baby whisperer from the Trump rant, who
right, yes,
not everybody's experiences are the same, right? I don't want, and I said her experience is valid too. For example, if you come and I'm hosting you and I'm taking you to places I go, and you as a foreigner from somewhere, like, oh, but I want to see the real Africa or whatever. I'm like, hello, this is the real Africa as well. Do you know what I mean?
It's not the only, but it is.
Exactly. It's not the only. I understand that I'm privileged to live this way, but this is part of the African experience also. It is not for you to come predefining whatever, and you're even refusing to expand your definitions of what an African experience is, because the thing is not, it's not dirty enough for you or something.
Because that's not what you've seen.
Yes,
this thing on the TV.
So you want to where are the villages and blah blah blah. None of us go hang out in villages really. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't. Our experiences vary greatly. And so I feel like there should be more understanding of the totality of what an African experience is. Now, that said, I also don't like those videos where they're like, oh, this is the Africa they don't show you. I'm like,
that's a bit
I feel like
one-sided
tone
as well.
Deaf in a way. It's like, okay, what are you really trying to say? Yes, okay, you're rich. Good for you. Do you know? But I kind of get the sentiment, like, because it's annoying when people are insisting that
showing the other side.
Africa can only be this. And it's always a negative stereotype, or even when they're trying to be like, oh, but the people are so happy. It's this really patronizing way. But I guess my two passages today is expand your horizons. Don't go looking for a self-fulfilling African prophecy. And when Africans themselves are telling you that this is our experience, so add it to your catalog of what an African experience looks like, please shut up and accept it, and don't come and tell me that this is not authentic.
Come with an open mind.
Come with an open mind, and understand that there's a vast variety of what it means to
and
live
just like
African
everywhere, I mean, this kind of poverty might not be extreme in other countries, but it's still there. So for you to just say that everywhere is just really okay, it's wrong. Be open-minded.
Yes.
Be open-minded.
Okay.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank
so
you.
my two Pesewas today is on financial independence.
Ooh, is this a sub? Is this a sub to me or what?
Oh no, come on,
I'm just joking.
So if you're from a typical, and I put typical in quotes because I don't want anybody to come and attack me, right? Typical African home, as a girl, you're taught that you need to go to school and do well, but you also need to know how to cook.
Right.
You know, so that you can take care of your husband and all that. But my two purposes today is, when we are teaching our girls, let us teach them to be financially independent.
Amen. Preach it.
Let us teach our girls not to depend on other people for other things.
Preach
Let us teach our daughters that it's good to have your own. You don't need to look out. You don't need somebody else to be
right
to be dependent on. Because what's the use if you're married or you're in a relationship, you don't have anything and you have to go ask your man for money to buy tampons or pads or something.
Oh, my goodness,
You know, so have something for yourself.
Get your hustle on.
Get your hustle on.
Keep that separate checking account, I say.
That is so important.
Keep it.
You can have a joint, but you should also have your own.
Your own stuff. I even believe in having your own space. Even in is that too much? No.
I mean,
no, it's true. Like, don't let your identity solely be defined as, okay, I'm a Mrs. now, and that's all.
That's all, yeah.
Or even as a mother, like I'm a mother. That's all.
That's all. Yeah,
you were a person before.
Yeah. And I know there are people, men and women, who don't mind being financial providers for others. But I still think it's still so important to have your own. What if you're like, let's just take a very weird example. You get married year one to your husband. He's got loads of money. Let's say you don't have any money. And for some reason, he dies without making a will. Then what? What are you going to do?
And the way we're set up around here, some family members will come and
what are you going to do? So this week, my two pursuers, ladies, gentlemen too, but mainly ladies, let's be financially independent.
Do for yourself. I would also add, don't establish tastes that your pocket cannot handle. Okay, if you are a 500 CD girl, better find a 100 CD weave. Don't be out here 500 CD girl talking about you only wear $3,000 Brazilian hair.
Because when you do that and you can't afford it, you
start
looking.
Why, thank you. And then you start compromising your own values because you've decided that this is your taste level, and yet somehow you can't afford it your own self.
Right, exactly. So that's what it was. That's my two pesos for today.
That was a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out.
I had a shout out. I've forgotten whose name I wanted to mention.
You step your shout out.
Yes, I remember now. My shout out today is to Sandra Adayehine. She's my colleague at work. And I just want to say hello. I love you like a sister.
Sandra.
I know you've been listening, so this is shout outs to you.
Okay.
All right. And you?
I do have shout outs. My first shout out is actually to my dad, who surprisingly does listen to this.
Hey, Dr. Siedu.
Hi, Daddy.
Hello.
We celebrated his 80th birthday this weekend, and it was a huge milestone, as you can imagine.
Yes, amazing.
And I just wanted to say again, happy birthday to you, and blessings for your life, continued blessings.
Yes.
And I would also like to shout out my sister. She's in the studio
hello.
today. Hey, Kika.
Kika. Hi, Kika.
She's been really excited about Two Pesewas and showing love and support and retweeting and sharing like y'all supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
So shout outs to her as well. And that's it.
That's it for this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. If you enjoyed the episode and you're listening to us on any of our platforms, please give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe, and we'd also love for you to share this episode with your friends. Let's continue the conversation. We'd like to hear your feedback. Information on how to reach us on our website can be found in the description.